Bombs away. Texas State and Troy home of their way to opening weekend sweeps. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz, and we will talk a little basketball. Dave Riggert, our buddy from James Madison, did what the bracket looks now heading into the final week of the regular season, so we will use that and see where we are. But when it comes to basketball, we will also talk Player of the Year a little bit, previewing that vote, which is coming up. But I wanted to start out with baseball. It was quite the weekend for the Sun Belt. Everybody did really well except for James Madison, who, may have played the toughest team out of anybody. Got pretty well shellacked, getting swept by Florida State. Georgia State went 1-2, but everybody else either went 2-1 or 3-0. App State, Arkansas State, Marshall, Southern Miss, Texas State, and Troy all went 3-0. South Alabama hosting a tournament. I think it's the Jaguars Classic. They went 3-1. But what stood out the first weekend of the regular season, outside of Eastern Kentucky walking South Alabama 20 times on Saturday night in Game 2 of a doubleheader, was the prolific power of Texas State and Troy. All right. So combined, they hit 23 home runs combined. Texas State hit 13 and 8 in one game, by the way. That may have been Sunday. And Troy hit 10. So they've hit 23 home runs combined. The rest of the conference hit 30 combined. James Madison didn't hit any. ULM did not hit any. And as it turns out, South Alabama did not hit any. So we will be impressed, I guess, with Texas State and Troy's power to begin the season. And, I don't know whether it was warm or cold, right? On Thursday night when I went to the South Alabama Southern Miss basketball game, it was in the 70s. And then when we went to opening night for the baseball team, it was in the 30s. One day later. Warmed up a little bit on Saturday, and then it was fine on Sunday. But who knows what the weather was across the Sun Belt. But let's start out with Texas State. We'll give them the benefit because they hit 13 home runs. And listen to these scores. I have no idea if Northwestern's any good or not. And that's not Northwestern State. It's Northwestern out of the Big Ten. And Texas State hammered them, if not embarrassed them. 12-4. 20-5 and 24-9. If you want to hear some crazy statistics, how about Chase Mora? Talk about player of the year. You can't be any more efficient than Chase Mora from Texas State. 3 at-bats, 3 hits, all home runs. In 8, he's got 3 hits. He's got 8 runs batted in. He homered in the 7th on Sunday. And he homered in the 8th on Sunday. Someone's got to be on base if you're doing that. So, of course, one of them was a grand slam. So those are really – he's got a slugging percentage of 4,000. He is 3 for 3 with 3 home runs and 8 runs batted in and 12 total bases. Unbelievable for Texas State. Let's see who else had – big weekends for their teams, because runs batted in. Again, how about Shane Lewis had 9 runs batted in. Jose Gonzalez of Texas State, he had 9 runs batted in. Dylan Pena of Texas State, 8 runs batted in. And Chase Mora of Texas State had 8 runs batted in. That is 27 between, did I get that right? 17 and 8, 25. My understanding is that there would be no math. But 25 runs batted in for the 3 Texas State players. All right. So a good start for them. Of course, Shane Lewis among the leaders there as well. Just one weekend, I get it. I would say for South Alabama, they played 3 different teams compared to playing the same team all weekend long due to the tournament. But that is what it is, all right? That's the idea of getting you ready for conference, not a conference play, but the conference tournament at the end of the season. All right, so Texas State off to a good start. They do not have a midweek game this week. Then they get Oral Roberts. They do get Incarnate Word. And then Sam Houston next week before flying out to Phoenix to play Grand Canyon. All right. On the other side of things, Troy, they welcomed in Evansville and not quite as dominating. So this will be interesting to see because, Texas State just hammered Northwestern, didn't necessarily shut Northwestern's offense down. But, when you're scoring 12 runs or 20 runs or 24 runs, you're going to give some guys a little bit extra rope when it comes to pitching. They gave up 4 runs, 5 runs, and 9 runs. When it comes to Troy, they won opening night 12-7. They won Saturday 8-7, and they won Sunday 11-10. So a little bit different of a ball game. Let's see what happened in that 11-10 game for Troy to wrap up the Sunday ball game here. See if that was a come from ahead victory. No, they hung on, actually. Troy was way ahead 10-2 heading into the 8th inning and had to hang on. Evansville scores 6 runs in the 8th, and Troy ends up scoring 1 run in the 8th to make it an 11-8 ball game, and Evansville scores 2 in the 9th, but Troy does hang on to win 11-10. So the bullpen, not so great. They gave up 1 unearned run. Matt Mercer had a difficult time in the 8th inning, giving up 4 runs on 4 hits in 1/3 of an inning. So not great there. And we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that if that's a thing for Troy. They got the bats, but maybe the pitching isn't quite as good. Other teams in the Sun Belt, Southern Miss, they sweep Liberty. They are off to a good start. I guess they didn't. People were commenting that they didn't quite have a sold-out crowd, as they did say, and I still think it's impressive that the home tickets are sold out. Whether people show up or not, that's different than if it's sold out. If it's sold out, it's sold out. I'm not thinking that Southern Miss is going to say something and then not have it happen because they're missing an opportunity to sell the tickets. A little PR does not help put money in the seats and money in the coffers, so to speak. Let's see here. App State won 3 in a row. They swept as well. They took care of Queens College. All right. Not familiar with that. Arkansas State and my guy, Alan Dunn, the pitching coach. They started out 3-0. They took out Arkansas Pine Bluff at home. Southern Miss, again, did a good job with Liberty. So Southern Miss and Texas State right now are kind of the 2 ranked teams in the Sun Belt as of right now. Southern Miss among the top 10 in some rankings. Let's see. Marshall starts out 3-0. They took down St. Louis. And let's see here. We'll go to South. So App State swept, Arkansas swept, Marshall swept, Southern Miss swept, Texas State swept, and Troy swept. South Alabama 3-1. They did lose 2-0 to Eastern Kentucky Saturday afternoon. They came back and won 26-6 with, again, a bunch of walks. The bats started coming around after the weekend got going. They beat Northwestern State basically with a couple of wild pitches and a hot shot back up the middle. They lost 2-0 to Eastern Kentucky, beat them 26-6. They had to hold on in the 9th inning against UAB. They fell behind 3-0, took a 7-4 lead, and UAB had they had the go-ahead run on the bases. And Grant Wood got in and out of trouble to get his second save of the season for South Alabama. So good start for the Sun Belt. Again, you get a month of regulars of out of conference play, and then the conference play, and that's going to be crazy with these travel days. So we'll find out. We'll find out how that goes. It is a little bit more travel these days. It used to be, oh, now you got to go all the way to App State. Now you got to go all the way to Coastal. Well, now there's Marshall and James Madison. So there's a little bit more travel among the Sun Belt. So off to a good start again. Troy and Texas State, Texas State 13 home runs, Troy with 10 home runs to kick off the season. All right. We will come back and we will look at Dave Riggert, and he was the one who put it together, and I will trust my guy from JMU about what the bracket looks like for the Sun Belt Conference tournament, with still 2 more games to go in the regular season, Wednesday and Friday, before that's finalized. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Built Bar. And you guys know that I'm loving my Built Bars. Really helped out with the Joe Kane 5K, and they replenished me. And it's something better to eat than a candy bar, I'm telling you. And they taste good. I think they taste good. I was a little bit surprised at the churro. That tasted good as well. So if you're looking for a delicious treat but don't want all of the fat and the calories, then you got to try a Built Bar. We just got through the holidays 7 weeks ago, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise taste, then I've got the thing for you. You got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious you won't think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolution. What makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they're healthy. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box of Built. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built bars from Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today. Walk to the pharmacy section to grab yourself a box of Built bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. And if you're close to Sam's, like I am, run in and grab a 13-bar box with their hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank me later. I think I had a peanut butter, nut, and caramel one. Something along those lines. That was good. I kind of finished those off before I got to the regular peanut butter one and like the double chocolate one. Good. And we got the brownie batter and the churro. They're delicious. All right. You guys can thank me later. I'm telling you, these are worth it, and they are filling. And I think they taste good. I do. I think they taste good. All right. Let's talk about the Sun Belt Conference tournament, which is it's actually coming up a week from today. As it turns out, it is coming up a week from today. They have regular season games Wednesday and Friday. And I'm going to see if this works so you can see the bracket that Dave Riggert from JMU put together. So you have the bottom 4 all the way to the left. They will play on Tuesday. And then those winners move to Thursday's action. Then there's another off day on Friday. And then it goes Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So you can see there Southern Miss gets the 8-9 matchup. Cajuns will get they are the 4th seed right now. They'll get the winner of Troy and whoever they play. JMU gets the winner of ODU and whoever they play. South Alabama is playing Georgia Southern, and Marshall will get the winner of that one. All right. So Marshall gets those kind of are set. All right. So I'm going to tell you what I see here. Louisiana is in a tough spot. Louisiana has found themselves in a tough spot. If they got to play, they just lost to Troy badly, so maybe they'll be motivated. But then they got to play Troy, and if they beat Troy, they're looking at the number 1 seed, who just beat them as well. So I think Louisiana is stuck in the 4th spot at best. The bottom of the bracket, interestingly enough, South Alabama has beaten Georgia Southern. I think did I get that right? Let me make sure of that, because thought they lost to Georgia Southern, but they have not played Marshall. And if they get that far and say it's JMU, they beat James Madison by 1. In fact, they had to hang on to win that ball game. And fortunate for them, I think JMU missed a layup at the end of the game. Let me see what I thought. South Alabama lost to Georgia Southern earlier. They did. They lost to Georgia Southern to open up the conference season, 64-50. That was in Statesboro. I'd say South Alabama is playing much different now than it was, 2 months ago. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And again, I think South Alabama can move up a little bit because they do have Texas State and they do have the Cajuns. So this is, I asked this question to Ricky Riley. It's fascinating because you do have the off days. And so if South Alabama is playing Georgia Southern, then they're both off, right? They're both playing Friday, and then they have about a week off. They play Thursday, so they'll both be even. Whereas Troy will play on Friday, but then Coastal Carolina and Arkansas State play on Tuesday. They'll have an off day before they get ready for Troy. So that's a lot different than what a regular conference tournament is, where you really don't have any time to rest or prepare, right? You get very little time. That's why kind of Syracuse back in the day always used to do good, because if they won the first game in the NCAA tournament, they usually won the second one because it's really hard to prepare for that zone. And so my question is, would South Alabama rather play a rested Georgia Southern team or a Coastal Carolina, Arkansas State team that has a game under their belt and gets a day off? So they'll have played on Tuesday, then they're playing Thursday, which is not that difficult, right? Whereas Troy will have not played for almost a week. So we'll see how that goes. Again, South Alabama has 2 tough ball games. They got Texas State at Texas State. Texas State beat South Alabama in Mobile, and then they got to go play the Cajuns. So I don't think they can fall too much further. I guess if they lose twice, they can. But we'll see what the rest of the conference does. All right. So I want to, again, thank Dave Riggert for, allowing me to borrow his bracket. He posted that on Twitter on Monday and kind of, went through the tiebreakers and such. But, I mean, it's going to be a heck of a semifinal if you get Southern Miss and the Cajuns in one semifinal. And was the other one, let's see here. The other one could be, JMU and Marshall in another semifinal. You also have JMU and ODU that are rivals. That would be a nice quarterfinal round as well. All right. And again, I guess, if you're South Alabama and you don't have to play the Cajuns or Southern Miss until the finals, you got to like that bracket. I'm just saying. All right. Marshall's going to be tough. They have not played Marshall. You got to figure out Tavian Kinsey, and you got to figure out Andrew Taylor. All right. So that will not be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of like that bracket as of right now. I guess you could say, well, you'd rather play Louisiana because they're not playing very well. But if Marshall hasn't played South Alabama, they are a tricky team, and you got the big guy inside as well. Okay, let's come back and let's talk a little bit about the player of the year. We talked about that earlier in the season. Not much has changed, and I just want to start to break it down. We're going to bring in other people throughout the week that may have I don't know about a vote, but their opinion on who it should be. All right. Let me tell you about, so we'll do the player of the year next. All right. But let me first tell you about LinkedIn. There we go. LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. It identifies the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connects with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications, all on one platform. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, to wrap things up with the, there we go, on Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. So you do have, it's just diet green tea, I swear. So you basically have 5 guys who have a shot, I would think, at player of the year in men's basketball. All right. And we're going to just go we're going to start at the scoring leaders and go from there, because that's usually where it's going to come from. So you have Tavian Kinsey from Marshall, Andrew Taylor from Marshall. They're 1-2 in scoring. Jordan Brown from Louisiana, Isaiah Moore from South Alabama, and Austin Crowley from Southern Miss. Basically, those are your top contenders for player of the year. All right, so now I'm going to be surprised if it's anybody but Tavian Kinsey. The thing is, and I know in basketball it's all one conference, it's not divisions like football, but do the teams that see Marshall, like South Alabama hasn't seen Marshall this year, so do teams that have seen Marshall on a more regular basis, the voters say in the eastern portion of the conference, do they split their vote? These two guys are really close, right? Tavian Kinsey is averaging 22 points a game. Andrew Taylor is averaging 20 points a game. When in terms of minutes, these guys play almost all of the time. Kinsey's played 40 minutes in 3 straight ball games. He came off I think it was a loss where they scored 25 points. Maybe that was in the double overtime loss. Played 50 minutes. And then in the next game, he played 33. So he plays all the time. He does not come off the court. But I'm wondering if, the eastern portion of the Sun Belt, if you will, splits the votes between Kinsey and Taylor. All right. Jordan Brown, I think, had a stranglehold on the player of the year, but he's fallen off. Like, it has not been good for the last few games. Just the last 3. Because he had a big ball game, they won. He had a big ball game and they lost. He had a big ball game against Southern Miss, but they lost. Isaiah Moore, you could easily make an argument that South Alabama is nowhere near where they would be. I mean, the team started 2-7. They're now 8-8 in the conference. They would be nowhere near that if it wasn't for Isaiah Moore. All right, it has taken a little bit of time for Kevin Samuel to be more consistent, Greg Parham to come around, Owen White to come around, Judah Brown to come around, Jamar Franklin to come around. So it's taken a little bit of time for that to happen. And then Austin Crowley, I'm not really sure what has happened. He has faded. I mean, he had a hamstring issue against South Alabama last Thursday, but then he played 35 minutes, didn't shoot it pretty well on Saturday in a ball game that Southern Miss bounced back and beat Georgia Southern, right? But he has faded a little bit. So I'm gonna sit here and we're gonna have some guys think from Thundercast on, hopefully for the Thursday episode, where who they think the player of the year should be, and we'll get some other guys on. We'll get the Scott Watkins on, and maybe we'll get somebody on from Lafayette because I think you can't go wrong with any one of these guys, is what I would tell you. Okay, you can't go wrong with Tavian Kinsey, can't go wrong with Andrew Taylor, Jordan Brown, Isaiah Moore, or Austin Crowley. You can't go wrong with any one of them. All right, I'm sure everyone's got their opinions on who it could be. I'm going to be surprised if it's anyone but Kinsey right now, but we'll see what happens in the final week of the regular season. And, see if the Cajuns win a couple. What happens if South Alabama reels off 2 more ball games, including going into San Marcos to take down Texas State and the Cajuns? That could help out Isaiah Moore's candidacy for player of the year. But I presume those 5 guys are going to be your all Sun Belt team. It would be surprising if some other guys did not make it. Okay. I want to thank you very much for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Again, we're still trying to get a local college football coach on with me. Maybe I need to reach out to him one more time to hopefully have him on this week. But we'll also reach out to others to start to preview the tournament as it's approaching. We're a week away from the Sun Belt tournament tipping off in Pensacola. All right. So thanks very much for tuning in. I'm your host, Dave Schultz, and you've been watching and listening to Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day.